I wasn't quite sure how to take this news when it was first announced. As I made clear in previous videos, my preference is for the Doctor to remain a male character, but this doesn't mean that this opinion is necessarily carved in stone. It remains to be seen how this will play out, and it depends upon the approach taken by Chibnall and the new writing team as to whether or not naysayers can be proven wrong. I've been a fan of Jodie Whitakker since I first saw her in a miniseries called Marchlands back in 2011, and I'm also a massive fan of Broadchurch, although seasons 2 and 3 were nowhere near as strong as season 1. I'm definitely not one of those loudly declaring that I will never watch the show again. Indeed, I've been a fan of Doctor Who for as long as I can remember, but, like many fans, I approach this era with some trepidation. Regardless, whatever happens, it definitely won't be boring, and this was one of the many issues I had with Series 10. It has been established in the series that Time Lords can change genders, and changing the gender of the Doctor has been discussed as far back as the 1980s. What I'd like to do in this video is highlight some of the reservations that many fans have with this decision and the direction they feel the show may be taking. While there are indeed some extreme views and actual misogynistic comments being thrown about, most detractors have no problem with the fact that a woman was cast. What we don't want is a situation like the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, whereby the gender of the characters came first, and everything from the story, comedy, and effects came second. Many fans are concerned that Doctor Who may be used as a pawn in a referendum on social justice or feminism. Others see this decision as a gimmick, and perhaps an attempt to alleviate the rather precarious state Stephen Moffat left the show in at the end of Series 11. The ratings have been steadily declining since Matt Smith took the role from David Tennant over 7 years ago. Moffat, while giving us some of the strongest episodes in Who history, has somewhat diminished the Who brand through unnecessarily complex and ultimately unrewarding and uninteresting writing. Not to say this has been the norm, but we can see that there have been definite instances of this. Series 6 possibly being the strongest example. In 2014, we saw the casting of the best actor ever to portray the Doctor, and yet his tenure was diminished by uneven writing and an attempt to completely reorient his character after his first series. Series 10 saw the lowest ratings since Doctor Who came back in 2005, and has the distinction of setting a new record for lowest rated episode ever several times. I think Series 11 will start on an historic high, but it's unclear whether or not this can be maintained. It's up to Chibnall and Whitaker to give us something refreshing and new. While yes, the change in gender of the Doctor is something that needs to be addressed in the first episode, for the love of God, do not make this the focus of the show. I would hope that Chibnall and the BBC take into consideration the dislike ratio of the various channels on YouTube that have uploaded the new trailer, which seems to sway between 30 to 40% dislikes depending on the video. Much of the concern is not necessarily with the casting of Whitaker, but rather out of concern and perhaps fear for the direction they see the show taking. Another important factor worth noting is the vile response from some corners of Doctor Who fandom, which also merely serves to further alienate those that are unsure of this decision. Well, as I said, there are indeed some misogynistic comments being bandied about. They are not as common as they are being made out to be. The most common thread I see is that many, like myself, are concerned about the motivations for this decision rather than the decision itself. I firmly believe that everyone is entitled to an opinion, and no, most of those that disagree with this casting decision are not woman-hating misogynists. I think it's also important to contrast two responses from former doctors. Colin Baker, who has always been my favorite Doctor, was somewhat disingenuous when he stated on Twitter, quote, cannot deny that I am amazed by the never watch it again reaction by some viewers. I hesitate to call them fans. Very sad. A more reasoned response came from Peter Davison. Quote, "It might be more encouraging and not simply scornful of fans who are uncertain about change. In the past, Davison has stated that Doctor Who should be left as a male character. Davison's primary argument is that young men need strong role models, and the character of the Doctor has, for the past half-century, been an excellent role model. Davison has also been completely congratulatory towards Whitakker, and I think that the hatred that I'm seeing directed at him is completely unjustified. Another thing, I keep hearing about a lack of strong female characters in science fiction, and this is simply not true. What about Sarah Connor, Terminator franchise, Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Ripley, Alien franchise, Captain Janeway, Star Trek Voyager, Alice, Resident Evil franchise, Dana Scully, X-Files, Princess Leia and Rey, Star Wars, Samantha Carter, Stargate SG-1, Katniss, Hunger Games, Trinity, Matrix trilogy, not to mention strong females in both classic and New Who. Sarah Jane Smith, Leela, both Romanas, Tegan Jovanka, River Song, Donna Noble, Rose Tyler, Martha Jones, Clara Oswald, Ace, Zoe, Katarina, Sarah Kingdom, Polly, Jo Grant, Nyssa, Grace Holloway. Are these not all strong female characters? So in closing, I'll reserve my final judgment until I see the first episode of Series 11 in a little over a year's time. And to Chibnall and the BBC, you were the ones that made this decision, and you'd better not mess it up. If Doctor Who goes down again, you have no one to blame but yourselves. You have an opportunity here to win back a waning fan base, or perhaps lose it forever. Make it about the stories, not about social justice and third-wave feminism. As for myself and this channel, I have 6 Doctor Who related videos that I shot before this announcement was made, 2 special edition unboxings, and a 4-part overview of my entire Doctor Who DVD and Blu-ray collection. And that's it for this video. So, as always everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day.